So, welcome. I'm going to have the students here introduce themselves to all of you, and then we're going to open it up to some of their questions about some of the different courses you've taken, pathways that you're in, experiences that you've had. We have, 8 rock stars here, so hopefully, pick their brains as best you can, and we'll start on this side with Ms. Brooks introducing themselves, and we'll be off and running. And I'm just going to kind of sit in the back and let the conversation kind of take over. So you're up. Name, grade, what pathways/courses you've been involved in.
Okay, I'm Kelsey Brooks. I am a junior, and I'm in the biomedical pathway.
I'm Samantha Jones. I'm a sophomore, and I'm in the media pathway.
I'm Maria Lewandi. I'm a senior, and I'm also in the biomedical pathway.
My name is Jack Palando. I'm a senior, and I'm in the digital media pathway.
My name is Trevor Masnick. I'm a junior, and I'm in the engineering pathway.
My name is Brady Watt. I'm a junior, and I'm in the engineering pathway.
My name is Mason Sanford. I'm a sophomore, and I'm in the digital media pathway.
My name is Ben Bishwa. I'm a sophomore, and I'm in the engineering pathway.
So we're going to open it up to some questions from all of you. As you can tell, with a different range of grades, they've taken different courses and different pathways. So, they'll be candid. They'll be honest. I could promise you that. And if there are some questions to prime, I can ask them, but I'd rather have them come from our guests because they know me.
All right, so I guess I will start. Can somebody tell me what you like best about your pathway?
We'll just start at the end and go around.
Okay. I like the interactiveness the most, I guess. It's more hands-on, and I've always been more of a hands-on learner, and I like that the most. Like in the Arkansas where I have my pathway, she has like a table, an anatomy table. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Yeah.
That's really cool to me because it's visual too.
I like working on the computers a lot, just drawing on the computers and figuring out ways and not having erase marks on my paper. It's a lot easier to hit a back button than it is to erase. So I probably like the excessiveness of it and how easy it is to use.
Kind of like Kelsey was saying, I really like how hands-on the biomedical pathway is. I am a visual learner. I can't just sit down and take notes all day or I'll retain nothing. So actually seeing the material in front of me and just getting to deal with it and use it is just the best way I learn. And I've learned so much in those classes.
My favorite about the digital media pathway is that there's state-of-the-art technology in that TV studio, and we get to utilize all of it. So that's definitely a plus for us.
I think my favorite part of the engineering pathway is the ability to apply it in the real world. When I've personally been touring colleges or we've gone on field trips to real locations, they are using the machines and the software that we're using at school.
My favorite part about it is the skills that you learn. There's a lot of different stuff that you can learn from it, so you can see what you like out of it.
I like it because there's a lot of opportunities within it, not limiting just to class, but around the school. And you're also using computers and stuff, so it's not all on paper. It's you're doing more stuff on the computers.
I'm engineering pathway because I love the 3D modeling and the actual electrical engineering part of it. And with the current class I'm in, that's a lot of what we do, and it just was one of my hobbies. Now I'm going to do it in school. So.
Thank you.
Told you they were awesome.
Yeah. Yes, they were fantastic. Nice job.
I have a question. So as far as your pathways and the classes that you're taking, how is that helping you think about and make decisions for what you're going to do beyond high school?
I think that it introduces you to what a future career could be. I know we've discussed different careers in the class before the one I'm currently in, Principles of Biomedical Science. We had a career notebook. You would research different careers, and I was oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. So I think it's a good introduction, I guess, to what there is.
I think my pathway has probably opened me up to the possible idea of doing something that I actually like something I actually want to do. Instead of just sitting at a desk, I would be doing something that I would actually enjoy, and most people don't get to do that.
Personally for me, like this pathway is honestly kind of like what chose my career. I started it sophomore year with taking principles of biomed, and like at that time I was like, I have no clue what I want to do in life, but like actually like getting to like have that hands-on experience. I'm going into nursing, and getting to like have that hands-on experience is like really influenced me and like kind of decided it for me.
I think because the pathways give you such a good glimpse into what the profession is really like, it lets you know if it's something that you would really want to be pursuing for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and with the different pathways, it's easy to get a broader scope of what you can work with. Like for our engineering work, every year we do different types of work. We do jobs relating to machining, to modeling, to electrical, so we get to get a taste of everything within the field and see what we like.
Yeah, with what Trevor said, you get, in engineering, you get a lot of different skills to learn and different pathways of engineering to learn, so you just get a lot that you can see what you're good at and what you like.
Yeah, as Jack mentioned, we are lucky enough to have a studio in our building, and because of that, it opens up to opportunities for like broadcasting, stuff like that, and I think for me, that's opened up possibilities for, what I could do in the future.
And like Trevor and Brody were saying, for the electrical pathways, we have a bunch of different things from coding and 3D modeling to actually printing it to laser cutting to bench mill where we drill into the wood to create shapes. I know I just had a class, last class, we were making yo-yos, and so I never even thought of using a bench mill until this class, and it just opens up a whole new bunch of possibilities.
Talk about the beginning of when you were first deciding which pathway to go. How were you exposed? What helped you to make those decisions?
I think at first it was like we have like a sheet where it's like, what classes do you want to pick? And like your guidance counselor like tells you, oh, these are options. And I've always been more interested in like the science, medical type of standpoint. So I was like engineering, no. Media, no. And then there's like the biomedical pathway. I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty good. I'm like, I wasn't expecting to get a lot out of it. I'm just like, this just seems like a class I could take that would be like semi-enjoyable. And it ended up being something that I wanted to like continue on with. So I kept going up the pathway, and I see what's next from there. I don't know.
For me, I've always kind of been around drawing and art. And so when I saw that I could do it on a computer, it was like, oh, like a new version of it, a new way I can express myself. So I was like, okay, like it's kind of like a break in my day. So I liked it, and I was like, I think I'll stick with this. So I've done almost every digital media class I can do. So kind of just working my way from there. We're trying to get a video 3, which is
Graphic design 3.
and video 3.
Well, we have to do 3.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
We're trying to get a graphic design 3 and a video 3. Apparently we already have, but I'm not allowed to take it. But yeah, just trying to figure it out from there.
For me, so I'm a type 1 diabetic, so I always knew that I like kind of wanted to do something in like the medical field and like help out with that. So I was like, okay, well, I need to make sure I like this. So reading the course descriptions, I was like, okay, wait, this is like what's gonna give me that insight on if this is like something I actually like and want to like continue to pursue. So I was like, okay, I'll just take it and see like what I get out of it. And like Kelsey was saying, like it's honestly so much more than I had imagined, and like it just like kind of pushed me even more.
I've loved filmmaking my whole life, and I've always known like I want to pursue it. So when I came here and had the option for a pathway, it just opened up doors of possibilities and helped me tap into my potential.
I was in a similar situation where I had always known I wanted to do some form of engineering. So when we came here, because our class came as 8th graders instead of freshmen, we had the opportunity to take Intro to Engineering and Design. so as soon as I saw that, I knew I wanted to check it out, and as soon as I was in the class, I knew it was for me, and I've just worked my way through the pathway now.
Yeah, with what Trevor said, I've also wanted to do like some sort of engineering for most of my life, and just the engineering program that we have here just stood out. Like there was a lot that stood out to me, and I decided that I just wanted to try and see how I liked it before I went maybe into college to do it.
Yeah, when I came up here, it's pretty much the same thing. I always enjoyed filmmaking and stuff, or within the digital media field, I've always kind of enjoyed that. And when I came up here, I didn't necessarily expect like this is what I'm gonna do in the future. I just kind of like this interests me more than the other two, so I'm gonna take this one. And I'm the point where I'm pretty much taking I think the same classes as Sam. And next year we're gonna take. I assume she's gonna take it 2, video 3. And for me, I can't take it this year, but it also allows me a break in the year to do like art classes and stuff like that to prepare me for like graphic design, which will help within that field. So it just gives me a little bit of a break, and I'm going to revisit it next year again.
I mean, for me, I like the coding on the Arduino Uno boards, and I like making little tiny circuits. So when I saw the engineering pathway, I thought it was going to be more like that. I didn't actually read it, but when I took the class, it expanded a whole bunch more, and then I really found that I really did like the modeling more than the actual electric coding.
For the older students, I noticed that in each of the pathways that there's, you always start with courses, and then there becomes more choices as the further you go into the pathway. And towards the end, it looks like you can either choose an advanced course or capstone or internship, and I was wondering what played into your design. I know you're a senior, right? And I think there was 1 or 2 other seniors. What choice did you make, and what was motivating you to either take the advanced course or the capstone internship, or are you allowed to take both?
Well, for the engineering course, we're juniors right now, so we're not allowed to take the intern course. So it's more of like a kind of deciding factor into choosing just the advanced course. But the advanced course is also kind of just like the ending for our course, so it was able to just like lead us into the internship if we want to take it next year with Lenza.
There's a few others I believe we're allowed to take. We haven't looked into it a whole lot. The benefit we have of the course that we are in right now is the path is fairly straightforward. We have to take these series of classes in order to be able to take EDD, which is what we're in right now. And so there are little offshoots, like we can take the shops manufacturing classes and that, but we are aligned on a course, and then we're able to take like those capstone projects and those things.
I'm a transfer student, so I came here junior year, and I had a decent amount of exposure to video production, so I went straight into intermediate, which is like the middle level, and then I'm taking advanced this year. And I also do an internship. I intern Mr. Barrows, he's the digital media teacher, and I just help out around the class with the video production classes.
Okay, so you all are essentially taking, so it's not just one choice, like when it breaks up. So we have these models here. Okay, you probably have all seen them. So the way that it kind of reads is that from, this isn't yours, the digital media, but it looks like you either take the advanced class or you choose capstone or internship. And it sounds like you all are able to do both things if you choose to. So it's not just one. You can take all of the classes and do the capstone and internship if you choose to.
Different semesters, yeah.
Different semesters, and that's something that you guys like.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're all doing it, so.
Something that I'll say is my class as well, we came in here as 8th graders. I know now they're doing it a little bit different, but when we came in, we were able to take any class we wanted to, so any pathway class.
Yeah.
And so that basically gives us a year head start. So by my freshman year came, I had already taken video 1 and graphic design 1, and that gets, that I've almost pretty much taken all the classes by now.
Yeah.
So it just gives me a year head start. I know they're doing it a little bit different now, but for us, that's kind of where we're at now.
So you could dabble basically in each of the pathways as 8th graders and make decisions that way?
Yeah, so I think how they're doing it now is eighth graders are being exposed to all the, all the classes.
Okay.
And I guess they're taking one each quarter, I believe.
Yes, so they have a class block that is just pathways, and each quarter they are in one of the different pathway classes where they're exposed to almost a slice of each
Nice.
pathway, and then as freshmen they can follow this more in depth.
I like
Yeah, but
that.
like Mason was saying, so our grade and then
All the sophomores
and
So
juniors,
from
we
the
came
junior
up
class
as eighth
down.
graders.
Yeah.
So we could take the year one class as eighth graders, which means if you have a 4-year class like engineering, you're done in your junior year, which leaves your senior year open for capstones or internships.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think
That's what
they're,
me and Brady
they're
are
in
in
the top
situations
class,
like
I'm in
that.
the third class.
So it really is nice that you have eighth grade here.
That we had the
Mhm.
extra eighth grade year, because now that leaves our senior year free with the,
Yeah, but
to do either.
yeah, because we're both sophomores, and so is Sam. So by next year, I don't know about these two, but next year I'm going to be done with all the digital media classes because I have, if we do get a graphic design, I'll end up taking that, a graphic design 3, and then video 3, and that would complete it. And then that basically opens up to my senior year to doing more capstones and internships. And I know as juniors next year, we may be able to do internships as well because they're starting to try to get juniors to do internships. So that basically just opens up more time for us to do those.
Yeah, because next year I'll be in the final course for engineering.
So do you guys see a benefit one way or the other to taking as eighth graders a pathway class so they experience all 4, or coming right in and starting with your first class?
I definitely see a benefit to experiencing all of them, because I mean when you're in 8th grade, that you're still 13. I don't know how they still expect when you're 18 to know what you're supposed to do in the future, but that's usually tough. So
40. We don't know either.
yeah. So
I still don't know what I want to do. I'm just kidding.
So I think it's good that you get a taste of each one, and then whichever one pegs your interest the most, you go into that one. And I mean, even if you don't end up liking it, you can still switch to a different one.
And it's not difficult to switch between pathways?
No.
No, you can actually, there's something I'm doing right now where I can double dip almost. So right now I'm in my final year of engineering, but I've taken a digital photo class and I'm taking film 1 right now. Next semester I'm taking graphic design, so I'm able to mix and match and play in different things even as a junior still.
That's cool.
Yeah, so the pathways aren't necessarily you go into it and you're stuck there for your entire 4 years. It's just essentially a pathway. It organizes it, so you can switch any time, but because you're not stuck in still, you're able to kind of do it.
Yeah, like for me and Mason, so we're in our second year of Spanish for this school, which means so next year, if he goes into the final year of film and I go into final year of engineering, that still leaves a whole year worth of class that we can fill, so we could fill that with another password, we could fill it with 2 half-year pathways, so you're not limited to just 1 per year. Like right now, I'm in engineering, and because Jim's only half-year class, I'm also in the business pathway. So you can mix and match, and it's really up to you.
I think the freedom of them also really helps us. If we wanted, like Trevor said, if we wanted to do engineering and art, they could definitely help each other out. They could, I don't know if you guys still do this, but I took an engineering class my 8th grade year. I took STEM, and we did a lot of drawing in it. So I can imagine that drawing would definitely help you guys if you wanted to mix and match them.
Comes in handy being able to double dip because with the art classes in engineering, there is a lot of artistic work to do. You have to do a lot of design and a lot of drawing, so it helps to have the skills mesh.
And kind of going back to your question with if you think it's beneficial to have that in 8th grade. So I came up as a freshman, since I'm a senior right now, so I came up as a freshman, and I didn't even know they did that. This is all I seriously did not know that. And I'm kind of that would have been so cool to know all what each pathway is about, and you guys were saying have it open up for an internship your senior year. Right now I'm taking the last course in my pathway, And so I feel like if I would have like started earlier, it would have been like so much better, I feel,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
I think for in most of our cases, we kind of already had an idea of what we wanted to do. And I can understand like 8th graders, you know, you may not know at the time. So there could be pros and cons to it. If you're an 8th grader, you don't know what you want to do, you get a chance to take all the classes. But on the flip side, if you're an 8th grader, you know what you want to do and you're for sure, then you can just hop right into it. You're a year head start like what we did. And for us, it's pretty much worked out. And if you do want to switch, you can.
Actually, question about your academic subjects that are maybe not in your pathway. Do you see connections between the technical courses and your academic courses?
Heavily.
Definitely with engineering and math, that.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I think we were in POE and physics at the same time.
Yes.
We spent about 2-ish weeks in engineering working on projectile motion in those physics. 3 days after we finished in that, sitting in physics class, and they pull up a diagram and I went, we just did that. So we had that jump start of the ability to understand these concepts ahead of time and then apply them in real world situations in our technical classes.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of back and forth, like, so the engineering teacher had to teach our class trigonometry. A week later, I go down to geometry, and my teacher pulls up notes of trigonometry. So they really do benefit back and forth on each other. And
Yeah, and like my sophomore year, I was taking biology, and I was taking PBS, Principles of Biomedical Science. And so I think it was, I remember the instance, but I think it was like DNA and stuff. And so like I like was at biology, and we were like doing the like DNA and stuff. And then like Trevor was saying, a few days later we went to PBS, and like I was doing the same thing. And it almost like helped me make sure I knew like what I was learning. Like it almost backed it up kind of. And like I don't know how to explain it. Like it really just like backed up my learning and just made sure like I understood it in bio, and like it gave me more insight in PBS. So it just, yeah.
In terms of digital media, there's not really like, I guess you can say in terms of academics, like a ton of connection. Obviously you can apply what you did in those classes to your regular classes, but there's not, or at least for me, there's not like a ton of connection. Like I said before, like drawing and painting, I'm taking that right now, drawing and painting 1, and the reason I'm taking that, I have never been really a fan of like on paper art, like regular art, but the reason I'm taking it is because it will help towards like my like graphic design skills, being able to draw just on a computer, so it kind of does help in a way.
I think, sorry, you wanna go?
Go ahead.
I think our teacher for digital media, his name is Mr. Barrows, you guys probably all met him. He really, the environment he presents to us in the classroom is very welcoming, it's very open. So when he says, okay, get with a new partner, someone you don't know, it definitely pushes you a little more to make new friends and make you a little more outgoing. And I think that definitely helps me when I go to work and I have to talk to the people I'm serving, and I can actually like have a conversation with them. It definitely makes me a lot more open and able to communicate with people.
The ability to bring the skills from the other classes, like I know I was taking Intro to Physics and my Principles of Engineering course at the same time, which allowed me to move stuff around, but it also meant when I was in those classes, I was also able to help other people understand those concepts better because I had already gotten the grip on them, so it was reinforcement and then the ability to help other people, which was making those social connections as well.
Yeah, I think, I like what Sam said too about work, is having, you know, like, I honestly now I prefer being in classes that I don't have anyone that I know in, because it does help me, you know, focus more, but at the same time, it forces me to work with other people that I don't know, and in a class like, in electives, which is, you know, these pathways, you know, you're able to take, you can be in a class with, you can be a senior, you can be in a class with like a sophomore, or people in other grades, or people you don't know, and that kind of, you know, forces you to work with people that you don't know, and that you can apply that obviously in the real world, and it does help.
my business class is a new class class this year, so they just took a bunch of us and threw it in together, and we've got ninth graders all the way to seniors, so it is a big range of people working together, but it definitely helps with like real world people skills.
It kind of just like allows you to like learn more about people and like learn more about yourself in a way, because like Miss Larkin will be like, oh, we're working, like find a different partner. And in the beginning I'll be like, oh, come on, like I want to work with my friend. But then I'm like, we start talking and like we start working and I'm like, no way, like we have this connection together, and like like the conversation will expand on something that I didn't even know, and I'll be like, that's so cool, and then like I'll look into it and like it's like this whole thing, yeah. So it kind of like opens up to like learning new things and like learning more stuff about people.
I definitely agree with what she said, because we're in the same class, and I'm one that prefers to work alone. I've always been like that, but like this has made me like want to work with other people more, so I guess. Because I'm like, oh wow, they're actually like cool. Like maybe so that's like definitely something that applies to like all of your classes when they're like, okay, everybody get in a group, and I'm like, oh. But now it's much more easier for me to find somebody and just like make conversation and just work together.
Something a little, I think, weird that's happened in our class at this point is it's been 4 years, and each year we've had a few people drop out. So now at the like final course level, we're not having the whole get with someone you don't know. It's 8 people in there, and we've all been with each other for 4 years. So it's get with a partner. All right, we all know each other, so it's not gonna lead to some, oh, I've never talked to you. We've all been together for 4 years, so it's just, oh, hey, let's do this.
Yeah, for us, me and Mason have been in a lot of the same classes together, and at Graphic 2, a lot of kids just take these classes to just fill their schedule, and they don't actually like them. They just want an easy grade. But when you see the levels get higher, you see less and less kids there that like actually don't want to be there. So when you see the same 4 kids every time in the same class, it definitely, it's like, oh, I know he's good at this. I know he'll work. I know he'll talk to me because I've had him for so long. So yeah, I think having the same people in the same class that actually want to be there makes it a lot more enjoyable.
I think it's like comforting.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, you're in my class. I'm good.
And that's one of the reasons why getting a graphic design fix. Actually, I think you said during one class, like, can we get like graphic design 3?
Yeah.
And here we are, possibly getting it. And I think the hardest part about that is because you'll notice as like you advance in the pathways, people will start to dwindle out because people find their spots. So in the first year classes, you'll find a lot of different people in them, mostly because they're just getting put in there to fill their schedule. But then as you go further up, you realize that you start to find the people that actually enjoy it, and that's why getting your graphic design group can be hard because you need enough interest in order to do it. But I do feel like there's enough people that are really interested in it to be able to sustain the class.
So do you feel like you have an opportunity to give input on your program? Hearing like you suggesting the other course.
Mr. Barrows is a very, very open guy. He listens to us. He's one of my favorite teachers. He actually really listens to us. If we say, oh, like this project wasn't so good, next year you won't see him do that project. He'll listen to us and take into account what we're saying and be like, okay, like this didn't interest the kids. I'll find something else that did interest the kids. And he'll apply it to the program and change it for the better. And it really does help.
One of the benefits we have is we've worked with our engineering teacher, Mr. Smutok, for so long that we all know him really well, and we know that he'll listen to us. So last year, we were in sim, and it got to the end of the year, and the class was a mix of juniors and seniors. Well, all the seniors were gone. It was actually the same 8 of us. So we had already been working on something else. Mr. Smutok let us take that project and add on to it and expand it into this huge thing where we had like 4 arm robots and like pneumatic systems and everything, and we had this huge table that we had set up, and we would cover a sheet with it every day so no one else would touch it. And it was just this massive amalgamation of arms and stuff. but we got to work on a project that we wanted to, and we got to, I guess, play with all this new stuff.
What did you do with that multi-armed robot?
So it was, we had to take a set of 9 wooden colored blocks, move them down the line, sort them out, so at the end they would be in 3 rows of sorted colors.
Very cool.
That's nice.
Mason, early on you mentioned a couple times, I think, about the opportunities that have opened up for you outside of the walls of the classroom. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we were lucky enough to have a studio. So UCTV is Uxbridge Community Television, and Barry Giles, he runs it right over there, standing guard. He you know, with him and the studio being in the school, that allows us to use the studio not only just for the class, but also for other opportunities. So I've helped over the last couple years that I've been here. I've helped out with broadcasting of football games, basketball games, and concerts, and a whole bunch of other things. And I plan on continue doing that this year. And that kind of, I like that kind of style, because I like having everything in front of you, and now you have to, you know, you have to get the shot while you're live, because it's still live. I mean, maybe it's not being broadcasted to a huge audience, you know, only to the town, but it's still, you know, still have to take into consideration.
Yeah.
And that itself, and as well as kind of what I've learned in the class, and being able to, like, if I'm in, you know, doing things in other classes or whatnot, I'm able to, like, take kind of what I've learned and apply it there. So instead of doing a Google Slides presentation, I can do a video instead, and that just, you know, allows me to, you know, realize that I really enjoy this more.
Thanks.
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback to Mason, I think it's Jack
Yeah.
and Sam. I teach that subject, so I'm just interested in finding out what kind of students are attracted to that pathway, or what you found. I know you guys have all said kind of why you chose it, but what other reasons do students choose it?
I've seen the most widest variety I think I've ever seen. I'm an athlete. I'm not into music. I'm not into band, but I'm really attracted to this pathway. Like, this, probably my favorite class of the day. But I've seen kids that do band and not a sport, which is very opposite from me. But we have this in common, so it goes from either sides of the spectrum.
I mean, I don't know if you teach young kids, but I mean,
All 9 to 12, so.
this up-and-coming generation, they're surrounded by videos. They're always on YouTube. They're always watching Netflix. So a lot of them, they want to do that. They want to be like the people that they watch, and that's where a lot of them, I feel like, come from. And it's also just people that are creative too. A lot of people that love movies and want to, like, make their own. That's where I see it comes from the most.
I think a lot of people can get a lot of, like, in the digital media pathway, get a lot of influence online. Like, just, not even if you're trying to look for influence, but if you're just watching, you know, someone that you enjoy watching, you kind of see effects or different things they do in the video, and you just kind of, you know, subconsciously think about that, and you can kind of apply that to, you know, your own videos, or it also brings up good ideas, like inspiration, things like that.
Thank you, guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Good job.
My first ever teacher observation involved the use of wait time. I didn't do well, so I'm using wait time. Mr. Day would be proud, a proud Seekonk High School graduate, by the way.
Nice.
Anything else before we bid these guys back to class? Well, I'm not going to force them to go back to class right away. They've earned a couple of
I mean, I'm making sugar cookies right now, so.
I'm the geometry, I can say.
Oh.
So what happens after this, like after high school?
Oh, yeah. Wish I knew.
Fair answer.
For us, I know, at least I am, I've been talking to Lenza, which is a company me and Ethan did a project for. I think I'm gonna internship there,
Great.
so we'll see where that goes. Probably would help me get into college, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But probably gonna internship with Lenza and then do a lot of their graphic design stuff. They do a lot of projects and see where that takes me.
I think a lot of us plan to go on to college, at least in the engineering pathway, and they do a good job of outreach with that. Like every single year when we finish the engineering program, we get college credit that we can use. So we've, at this point, taken 4 engineering courses. We're ahead of a lot of college students right now. And we've actually worked at different colleges. I know last year we had a project we've been working on, and we went to UMass Lowell and we talked to professors and engineers there to work on that. We get a good look at different careers that we could go into, and so a lot of us have an end goal or an idea of at least where around we want to be.
For me, like I said, I'm gonna go into nursing hopefully, and so I think I'm just gonna apply honestly like everything I've been taught. Like nursing, it's not easy, so like that's what I've been told at least. So I'm glad I kind of went into this pathway to give me that insight and kind of like give me a head start. Like I feel like I know like not everything, but like I know a good amount of stuff right now that to like go into it. And like I remember it because like I was saying earlier, how hands-on these classes are. I need to share this because I think it's the coolest thing. When I was in PBS, we dissected a heart actually, and I still, because we did that, I still like remember like, oh, the arteries, the ventricles, this, that. Like I remember all those things, and that like doing that, like I'm obviously gonna apply that in my career, and like I know that stuff now. So like when I'm sitting in class and I have a professor talking about the heart, I'm gonna think back and be like, oh, I remember Larkin doing that with us, and like I'm gonna remember dissecting the heart. And I know she just told us we're doing a brain soon, so I'm like I'm hyped for that.
I know for me personally, I was also looking into going to Lenza, but not for graphic design, for the actual manufacturing process of it and putting the parts together. And maybe senior year and maybe after high school turn into something more. And like Trevor was saying, I definitely think most of us in the engineering pathway are going to go on to college. And
Yeah, as Sam mentioned, we worked with Lenza for, actually it was a project that the engineering guys were doing, and we were the ones creating the presentation, so it was a combination of the both pathways. And, yeah, and we, in terms of internships, because I know junior year coming up for next year, you know, there is a possibility of doing internships because the school's trying to get more internships for juniors. That allows me basically 2 years to play with internships, and that allows me to have opportunities. So Mr. Moore, our Dean of Students, who's not here today, I've been talking with him a little bit about internships, and he was saying that he wants students to be getting more hands-on in the outside world rather than within the school to get like real world experience. So, you know, being able to internship with a company that's in the town really does give a big opportunity. It kind of can help us decide what we want to do in the future.
Something that Maria's actually reminded me of something. So a problem that a lot of us will run into is we learned something 3-4 years ago. A teacher will bring it up and we're sitting there going, I don't remember that. A big benefit we have of our classes is we don't always work on something for a long time, but when we do, it's in a way that we stick with us. Like we were working on breadboards, which are like these small electronic component boards. And we're in the class and we're putting all these little resistors and light bulbs in, and I'm working with a few other guys, and one of them like tapped them together by mistake, and we blew up a light bulb. A small little LED, but enough to like startle everyone. I still remember that, and I still remember all the stuff we did with that because we get those special experiences with each thing. I still remember stuff we worked on in IED with little cams and like cranks and stuff because we got to design our own things. So like I made a little Han Solo Millennium Falcon cam thing that made it look like this thing was flying. So we all got to work on these cool little projects that help us process this knowledge in a way that will stick with us forever.
They definitely create, our pathways definitely create core memories for us, I'd say. And like Trevor said, you're gonna learn stuff, but you're gonna learn stuff in a way that it's gonna make you remember. Like, we're not just sitting at a table drawing some random thing. We're gonna draw it, add it to the computer, redraw it, and then we're gonna send it somewhere, and we're gonna get feedback on it. And then they're gonna send it back to us, and we're gonna change it. Then we're gonna send it back, and they're gonna feedback us, and they're gonna give us this opportunity to improve ourselves and give us real life experience. And I think that's definitely really important, because when I'm gonna go off to wherever, it's gonna be, oh, you've learned this, you know how to fix these things, and it's just easier.
Yeah, and Sam was like talking about like how you're getting that real life feedback. So I remember that. So recently in my HBS class, Human Body Systems, we did like this biometrics, or no, was it biometric? It wasn't biometric.
It was,
we got feedback on it.
It was like the Sherlock Bones.
Yes, yes, that's right. So we were doing like this, forgot what it was called for a sec there. But we were doing like this like Sherlock Bones analysis thing, and it was like, we were just like, it was like stuff with like bones and stuff, and like trying to like figure out like who like the skeleton was, like it belonged to. But obviously like it's one thing to get feedback from your teacher, and it's like great and all, but I think the cool part is we sent in our lab reports to like Project Lead the Way, like professors, like or whatever, and they gave us like real feedback, and I thought that was like so cool to just like actually get feedback from like professionals basically, who like specialize in this thing, and like reading their feedback, I was like, okay, that's like a very interesting like viewpoint. Like I'm really like happy I like was able to send this to you and like see your feedback on it, because again, these like teachers like are one thing, and like I appreciate their feedback and stuff, but like doing it, like getting feedback from like an actual professional, I thought that was like just like the coolest thing ever.
It's very validating.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like, oh,
It's like
I
they
did
read
this,
that.
I did this.
Yeah, when me and Sam worked on Lenza, we were told, I remember beforehand, Mr. Burrows told us that like we're going to be, at the end, we're going to be critiqued by the professional graphic designer at Lenza, and that he was saying that she's not going to, you know, she's not going to sugarcoat it. She's not going to like say like, oh, you guys did a great job because we're students. She's going to actually critique us and say like, this is what you did good, this is what you did wrong, like actually give us feedback. And I think that itself is something that's very important, because if you just, you know, sugarcoat everything and say like you did a great job just because you're students, you're not going to really get there. And for us, that's like a good experience, because we got a real professional to critique our work, and we ended up doing a good job on it. But I think that was a cool experience.
Like Maria said, it's one thing to hear critiques from your teachers, but it's another thing to hear it from another person that actually works in the field.
I liked something Sam had said a few things back about how it's creating core memories for us, because something that at least our engineering teacher has drived into us is learning through failure, how nothing ever works the first time, and it hardly ever works the second time either. But eventually it'll work. I remember I had brought up the color sorting project a little bit ago. I sat at a computer for almost 2 weeks trying to get some code to work, because no matter how many times I ran it, something else was always wrong. But that feeling you get when you finally figure out is like a drug. It's just amazing to know that you can finally do these things.
And I would say that when you figure out how to do something without the help of a teacher, you're able to do it on your own.
It's a satisfaction of being like, oh, like I can do this if I really want to, if I really put my mind to it.
I know I said earlier, you were like, what is after high school? I'm like, wish I knew. But like, I have like a general idea. It's like, that's kind of like, these classes like have helped me like confirm that I'm still interested in this, and I do want to do something like after high school that has to do with that. Like, I don't have a exact idea, because I'm like, who does?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some people do, but I personally don't. But I think the classes are a really good opportunity, and it helps me like shorten it down to like a smaller list of maybe what I want to do, and compared to just like, I don't know. So I think that's helpful.
Another thing I realized is when I was an 8th grader, I didn't like school. No, I don't think any kid likes school, but I really thought that it was just going to be 4 years, you do your academics, and then you go off to college, and that's it. But over the last few years, I've really noticed that they try to push us out, and they try to give us new experiences. And it's not just, oh, let's go to math, let's go to ELA, let's go to wherever. It's going to the places you actually want. Like, I actually want to go to graphic design. I want to go to video. It serves a good break in my day, sitting there and doing something for an hour and 15 minutes of what I actually like to do. And again, like I said earlier, the environment that Mr. Barrows presents us in, it makes us feel almost like safe. Like we know that no one's going to walk in and be like, oh, go do this on the board. Because you know that it's a pathway that you like, and that if someone were to go in and be like, oh, show me how to do this, you could do it.
Like Sam was saying with Mr. Smutok, I know some of you walked in last block on him, and he really did. He told my class, some of you still have to finish coding your yo-yos. One of us had to actually cut the yo-yos, and then me, Jack, and Cam, didn't even know them, but we had to laser engrave, and he really just said, you know what you have to do, get this project done, go do it. And it's really just the atmosphere he sets in the classroom. We have our own freedom. We're doing what we like, but we're still getting graded on it. And it definitely helps with the way the teachers present their class, and just makes it more fun in general.
Yeah, as Sam mentioned, Mr. Barrows and his class is just really fun. Like, the class itself is fun. Like, it's not tense. Like, you can walk in there and he always has like music playing in the background, and it's just, it's a calm environment. Like, you always look forward to the class. And when I leave high school, like, as much as I don't always like my regular core classes, like no one always does, once I leave high school, I'm gonna, in a way, I'm gonna miss it, because, you know, over the last couple of years, I've had the opportunity to, like, Mr. Barrows or Barry over here, or, you know, really anyone has, like, you know, emailed me and said, like, hey, can you come down and do this for me, or if I have an idea that I want to do, and I go to my teachers, or I go to the people that I need to do, and, you know, I like that. I like being able to kind of do these side projects on the side and be asked to do stuff. I think that makes high school more enjoyable.
I think one of my favorite things, I'm not taking any digital media classes right now because I'm not eligible to, but so many. But I like the freedom of, say I finish my work early in math, I'll ask to go down to Mr. Barrows, and he'll let me sit in there and work on the computer and make stickers if I want to, and print out stickers. Then I go and bother him in his little office. It's just a very enjoyable atmosphere. You're always welcome, and he's not like a hard person to talk to. Like, if you start a conversation with him, it's like he wants to talk to you. He wants to keep the conversation going with you. So it definitely feels good.
Yeah, I think with the pathways, the environment is much more like, it's like, the environment is so like, I don't know how to describe it.
It's like your place.
Yeah,
it's like you feel safe
and it's
there.
like, you just go there and then you just go. Like, it's not like your core classes where it's like you dread going there and you're like, oh. It's like, I want to go there. Like, and like the teacher and the people, I love it.
Like, if I were to walk into like my English class, I'm gonna walk in silently. I'm gonna go sit down. But when I walk into Mr. Barrows' class, I'm like, hey, Mr. Barrows, what's up? And it's just clear that I want to be there and that I'm genuinely excited to be there.
When you have a group full of students that all want to be there, it changes the atmosphere completely.
One of the best parts of the classes is, for us, it's a break. I know if some of my classes are rough, or it's just not been a great day and I'm struggling with something, and I know my engineering class is up next, I can go in there and just relax and goof around, but we still get our stuff done because we all know that's where we want to be, and that even if we goof around for a day, we all know that tomorrow we can get everything done, and it's just a break for us to be able to relax in an environment where we know everything's going on.
And even if you are like goofing around, like I feel like if I'm goofing around and I'm trying to write a story, I know that I'm not going to be able to get that done because I am goofing around. But I go into digital media and I'm goofing around, but I'm doing my work. I've noticed that it's a lot easier for me to talk to people and do things while doing my work because it comes a lot naturaler for me.
I mean,
It's a lot easier.
Mr. Barrow scoots around with us
Yeah.
all the time,
Yeah.
so it kind of goes to, I mean, if you walk into any core class, a lot of the time, the atmosphere feels like, all right, the teacher's like, all right, I have to teach you this because this is the curriculum, this is what, like, I have to teach, I'm required to teach you. But for the, pathways classes and like digital media, you can walk in and while there is still a curriculum, there is still something being taught. It's very flexible because teachers are able to change how they teach us, because it's pathways classes. And at the same time, it's not being, like, the information isn't being forced upon you. You kind of have more flexibility of what you want to learn. Like if something doesn't work out, then maybe the activity can be changed to better kind of fit what we want to learn, what we want to do. So it's more so not like the information is being pushed onto you because you have to. It's being put onto you because you want it to. You want it to be. So.
Yeah, like Trevor was saying about the engineer, Mr. Smutok, he's our teacher. He gives us the work, and he does not care what we do in class as long as we get the work done. So we could spend a whole day doing nothing and just goofing off. But as long as when that due date comes up, if we have the assignment and it's done, he's fine with it.
Something that Mr. Smutak has actually done for us that I get a kick out of is we've had projects where they're able to mold the curriculum more, and he'll literally show us the project, be like, here's how we're supposed to do it. I don't like that, here's how we're going to do it. And we're able to still meet all those requirements, but it's in a way where he's tailoring it to the kids in the class, and we're able to learn in a way that benefits us, and it's not just, here's the program, here's how you have to do it. It's sort of, here's the outline, feel free to hop outside the box.
Yeah. Especially in video classes, Mr. Barrows would give us a video, he'd show us examples of it, and then he'd be like, here's what I want you to do with the video, here I want you to have these shots in it. But your topic, you can video it on anything. Go take the cameras, go into the school, go video what you want as long as you meet these requirements. And we do it, and we come back and we edit them, and then he grades them, and that's that. And that's how we get our grades.
Yeah, grading is very lenient. It's not necessarily like, because a lot of the times you'll find that things aren't necessarily finished, at least with digital media, for me, because the last 2 years, obviously with last year, the way it was looking, we were hybrid, so we didn't have much time in school, so we had limited amount of time. And then this year, I'm not taking any of those classes. But it's not like if you don't finish, like you obviously worked on it. You worked on it. So the grading and the way Mr. Barrows grades is very, very, as long as, like he even said, I remember him saying in my first year video, you can't fail a elective. Like it's very hard to fail. And he said, in order to fail my class, you just have to not do any work. As long as you do the work, if it's finished or not, and it's not like, it's not graded like based on how good it is or things like that. It's based off like if you did it. Yeah, it's effort. As long as you put the effort in, you're good. I think that's a better way of looking at grading because honestly, in the digital media world, you're not everything's going to turn out the way you want it to be, and that's just kind of the part of learning and getting better at it.
One of the cool parts, or another one of them, is that the classes almost bleed out of the classroom where, like, you can take the cameras and go around the school, or what, like some of our engineering projects where you have to make a catapult. So we go out in the hallway and we're launching marshmallows through the hallway, and it shows other people what we're doing. Yesterday we were fixing up a claw robot, so we're running it up and down the hallway, making sure everything's working, and we're like taking it into classrooms that aren't doing anything and showing people what we're working on in a way that's almost goofy and fun, so we can take stuff and bring it out into the school.
I'll say to my history class.
I think our
Yeah, I was gonna say.
He gave Lucas in the back, he brought in the clump out with the bottle of hand sanitizer, and you were right back to the classroom, and it was just,
It's just sort of how it happens in the school where occasionally something weird will happen, but you just accept it and it's part of the day.
I think a lot of the kids in the school are, in a way, all like each other. We all have our own sports or whatever, but we very much come together in these pathways. And you would never know that me and Mason, we are very two different, completely people. But it's also the fact that you go out, and I remember my video one year, we went out and we found people to interview. And right on the spot, we were like, can we interview you? And they were like, yeah, sure. So they'd sit down, regular students, and I'd figure out all this stuff about them. And it brought me closer to my community in a way, because I'm starting to know different things about these people, and something that I'd never known.
And building off of that, I remember being interviewed by somebody, and I was like, I don't even know what this is, but sure. And I guess like it does connect. Like the pathways, it like brings you closer to other people in a way. And I really like that.
We get a lot of the community outreach. We are working on a independent project, I guess, where we had to send out surveys. So I sent out this survey to the school, and everyone's filling it out. I walked into my next class, and the art teacher comes up to me, because we were working on something with like chargers, comes up to me, he's like, I have this super specific problem with this charger, and so now we get to take those problems and bring them into the classes, but we're having a lot of that like outreach where I'm talking to people about these problems.
Yeah, we had, as 8th graders, we had, so civics, we take civics in 8th grade, and one of the projects is a civics project, and that kind of, what it's meant to be, it's kind of a year-long project. The whole point of it is to pick something and try to create, like, and you're not necessarily going to change it, but you're aiming for a change. So basically, you're communicating with people outside of the school or inside of the school, whoever you need to communicate with, you're talking to the proper people to get, what you need to get. And I think that was probably most of our first experiences with doing that. And now I know, with engineering, they send out a lot of surveys a lot. And things like that, you have to actually get feedback and do it. And it's always nice to get feedback, too, from other people and not having our work go unrecognized.
I'm not entirely sure what the question is anymore, but I just thought it would be cool to mention that right now in human body systems, we're like using clay to build the brain, like the different lobes, like the frontal lobe. We're doing all of that, and I just think it's cool. Like we're just rolling out clay. Like, it was really relaxing yesterday, and we're doing it today again. But it's also like you're learning too, and I just think that's so cool. Like I just never thought I would be doing that kind of class. But we have like these huge skeleton models, and we basically like build onto it, like the different parts of the body and stuff. So yeah, right now we're doing the brain.
Yeah, and I remember when we were doing like the muscles of the face, like we would like sculpt out like the lip muscles and like the eye muscles, and like we would do like we use like yellow clay for like the fat and like the eye. It was like it's the coolest
I
thing.
thought it was also funny because everybody's looked so different, but also like the same. It's like somebody's eye was like this big, and the other one was like this, and it's just like you get the learning from it. It's just more, it reinforces like the actual teaching.
A lot of it is around reinforcement. We learn something, and the next thing, even if it's not directly related, backs it up a little bit. So, like, I know you had brought up we learned trig. Well, we're working on projectile motion. Well, we're learning just a little bit of trig, then we go into the trig. We already have that baseline that builds on the next and builds on the next. So now we're able to work on these insane complex problems, but we already have all those little tiny pieces put together where it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of dense material, but at the end of like a month, I realized I've learned so much more than I actually would have picked up in another class.
Yeah, it definitely builds on top of each other, the materials.
I remember, I believe it was last year, I was in my video 2 class and just doing the normal thing, and Mr. Barros came up to me and was like, I don't know if you were a part of it either.
In that class?
He was like, so Mr. Rubin is trying to figure out a way to get the 8th grade parents a chance to view the
Yeah, every,
I
yeah.
do remember this,
Yeah,
yes.
so every year, usually there's like an, 8th graders will come up during the school year while we're in, and they'll take tours of the school, and usually there's like an open night for parents to do the same thing. But because of COVID, it wasn't allowed, so they had to come up with a way to try to do it virtually, to get all the parents online and to do it virtually. So we had to all come up with an idea on how we're gonna do this, like, how we can present the school online, and it's not as easy as it sounds, because you need, some way to obviously, to capture it, like a camera, and we ended up using an iPad, and because it was the easiest way of doing it, instead of trying to hook up a camera, because, it just, with everything we needed. And I think that experience was, like, a really fun experience to be a part of, and to, have a principal come up to us and be like, hey, like, we need to do this, can you guys help? So instead of, and we find a lot, instead of Mr. Rubin doing everything himself and getting professionals to do it, he leans towards going to the pathways classes and getting the different departments to do it instead, because it's an experience for us to do.
To expand on that, I remember actually testing out like how we were going to do it. So we had a tripod stick, and then we put the iPad on the tripod. And I remember my friend Aiden walking around the school, and I was in front of the camera directing, and we tried to see how far we could get because we were on a Zoom. And we got down to like the other half of the school, and then the sound started to cut out, so we had to come back. But just like experiencing different ways that we are going to fix these issues just shows us that we can be more help. It's not just a class. It's helping us, and it's helping us problem solve in ways that we didn't think we were going to be able to.
So not quite on the scale of introducing 8th graders to the new school, but for like the first week or two when we were in the engineering class this year, our engineering teacher comes up to us, he puts a couple of cups on the table and he goes, break room has a coffee station, it's a mess, we're going to build something to fix it. And that was just like the whole thing, he's like, here's the stuff we need to measure, here's the stuff we need to fit, figure it out. And so maybe not quite on the scale of introducing an entire grade to the school, but it's still, when there's ever a problem in school, the first jump isn't to, all right, let's go find someone, it's let's go check the classes to see who can help.
Yeah,
And also, sorry,
go
go ahead.
No, I've talked a lot.
I personally do drama, and I know Miss Penza, the music, like, department, yeah, she was telling us, because we had a meeting on Tuesday, and she was telling us, oh, the engineering department is like helping to build stuff for the drama production, and I thought that was so cool. I'm like, okay, so like these pathways are literally like bleeding into like my extracurriculars and stuff. And I know my sophomore year, like they helped us make like this whole huge like castle thing. They had the stairs, and I was like, we seriously would have not had such, like, I loved that set so much. And like I'm telling you, we would have not had like such a cool production set had like you guys not like chipped in and like helped us out with that.
And adding on to that, actually, I play field hockey, so Mason will go and video our games, and I'll be like, oh my God, it's Mason. And then I'll go and I'll get the SD cards from Barry and be like, hey, I need this film. We're going to go watch film in the library. And then my coach won't know how to set up stuff, so I'll set it up for her. And then just seeing my pathways being able to help my extracurriculums, it's just something I didn't expect.
Or help you get into college.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I was one morning, I was in my class, and I was kind of bored, and as it goes, and I was listening to music, and a bright idea popped into my head. I was like, and I didn't know how it was going to work, it's already halfway through the year, but I was like, I want to make a video highlighting the school year. And I don't want it to be something that's like, I want it to be like something that was made from the students and made about the students. So not having teachers involved, just having all students and showing what the school is like. And I had a meeting with Mr. Rubin to discuss the idea because I wanted it to be put on the website. I wanted it to be used for the 8th graders when they come up to kind of show them what it's like. And
now I'm just kind of in, and then I was like, I went down to Barris to ask him to basically give him the idea and see what he thinks on it. And I was like, if you know anyone or anyone that could help, because I didn't want it to just be a me thing. I wanted other students to help. And obviously you mentioned Jack. And he was obviously on my mind too, maybe he could help a little bit too. So, taking those things, I'm able to, do my own projects, not if it's for the school or personal, but I'm taking things I've learned in class and on my own and using that for for the school. And I think that's pretty cool.
Ruben is a very open person. If you're trying to help the school like Mason with his video, and you go to him, he's
All for it. He's all for it.
He's all for it. Anything to help the kids, anything to help
Checks in
the
the mail,
school.
Ms. Jones.
We're not just saying that because he's dead. He's always going to try to push to help you. If you think this is going to help you, he's going to be like, okay, let's figure it out. Let's talk to whoever. Let's talk to Barrows. And he's going to push you for that. He's going to push you and motivate you to try to figure this out. And I think that's definitely very helpful to have a principal on your side. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, pretty great.
So we have places to go, so I wanted to say thank you to you guys for your candor and this will be airing via tape delay on Uxbridge Cable, so you can have your have like a viewing party, popcorn. I was a Snowcaps guy when I went to the movies.
Swedish fish.
Swedish fish. My daughter's a Swedish
and then you
fish.
gotta dip them in
Yeah.
like
Okay.
the
There you go.
slushies.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, that's so good.
Interesting. No, I'm a Snowcaps
Yes,
guy.
that's so good. Now you guys gotta go try.
Snowcaps and milk duds until they, pull your fillings out.
Oh, yeah. Every dentist is like,
So I just want to say thank you to you guys again. I appreciate your candor. I know everyone else here does. If they have questions for you that come up later, I know where to find you. So thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your day. I really appreciate it.